evening, folks, and welcome to this week's Powder Room. Well, we did have a studio audience, which was the book club, but unfortunately, at the last minute, they haven't turned up. So it might be a little quiet in the studio, but to compensate for being quiet, we've got Susan with us.
Never quiet with Susan, right?
And Leslie, and of course, Rena sat there in the end.
Qué mala fama.
No, you just have clinically a loud voice like me. People don't understand that, actually. Yeah. Shall I tell you? Yeah. I actually have a loud voice. Me too. I remember going to Dr. Farrell, ENT, and he said, Justine, the only way that we can lower your voice is to have therapy. You have to train yourself to lower the voice because it's just a loud voice. Like some people have, I don't know, something else, anything else.
Pues yo también.
It's weird and wonderful. Anyway, so Gibraltar is about to make history, and we have made history on many occasions for many other reasons, but this is a big one coming up on Wednesday, and we want to talk about it. We're not going to get into the policies and the politics of things, but we do want to take ourselves a trip down memory lane. And before we do that, let's just have a look at the lovely plans in place for our brand new frontierless frontier. So here we have, let's see what we're looking at here. Oh, this is a tourist board, a tourist centre, I think. I mean, it's all a bit of a guessing game at the moment. That looks amazing, I have to say. Beautiful gardened areas. I'm hoping that they're going to bring in trees that are mature and plant mature trees as opposed to budding trees and wait 6 years for it to grow. Yeah. You can see we're very green. We've got all those solar panels on top of those buildings there. Lovely access to the airport. And it is basically the part that we know as the loop. So they're reconstructing it. And notice Gibraltar written on the frontier, on the roundabout.
Yes, I know.
So let's take a look back at this is why we've asked you, me, and Leslie in particular, because we're all 60. So we're all 19 when the frontier opened the first time. Let's just go back in time to recollect what that felt and what that meant to us. And I can tell you my side of things. I remember very clearly, I was a 19-year-old. Did I feel trapped in Gibraltar? Possibly, yes, a little, but then I knew no better. I just knew that I hadn't seen the snow, I hadn't been to Spain, there were lots of things I'd love to do and travel. There was a certain restriction to growing up in such a small place. We were very limited for things to do, but we always made the most of it. So we had vaquita, ¿te acuerdas de la vaca? We had real vaca de moto, like big bikes, none of these noisy flipping scooters around. So we'd spend a lot of time pulimentando la llanta.
Oh, yeah.
And what about the metal flake? Remember the metal flake in Lotanque? And we had little clubs. I was part of the Churchill Club, so we had lots of vaquita friends, and those friends were with you for years and years and years. We went to each other's weddings, and I even went on honeymoon the first time with a couple there. I remember when the frontier opened, I cried my eyes out. My mother had always left the key in our front door. Not out of choice necessarily, it was more because the key was actually stuck in the front door. So a lot of things crossed my mind, and of course the fear of the unknown was one of those things, and more so being that if you had grown up in a closed frontier, I guess there's lots of things that you would be concerned about because you knew very little of the big wide world. I didn't get to go to uni, few people did back then in the day, so we weren't as open-minded or well-travelled as they are now. What were your recollections?
I actually wasn't very worried, para que tú veas. I wasn't very worried. I was quite excited about it. I remember I was dating someone. We were in a friend's house. It was all like out of there. We watched the TV. Entró el primero. ¿Tú te acuerdas? Entró el primero.
Sí.
You always have the famous person who said, me llamo, you know, whatever. And she came in and everybody was like watching. And where this
Did you have a party for it?
Not a party, but I was with my
gathering.
brother-in-law. And where my brother-in-law lives, he can see a lot of down. He lived up in the old city, vamos a decir, up. Y miramos para abajo y veíamos los coches por la frontera y lo veíamos de pasar. We were just excited. We found it very exciting to have coche con otra matrícula with another pass by. No, for me at 20, I was very excited. Not long after, I remember going to Spain with friends in a hired car. No sé cómo mi madre me dejó, but we went off. We'd go every day and come back to sleep. And
That
we went
was
to
so
Torremolino.
exciting.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, the first
I had
weekends
a wonderful
away
time.
as a group of
No,
friends.
I wasn't scared at all, but it's like that, hija. Like that. I was not scared. It was a different time.
What about you, Leslie? Because you have lived, you are a Janita
I am.
at the end of the day. You've
I
lived in
hope so.
Gibraltar for years.
Yeah, well, for way longer than I lived in Scotland. I moved when I was 23, so I'm 60 now, so 37 years in Gibraltar. And I first visited Gibraltar in 1984 when my parents moved here. So
that was military?
No,
Ah.
no. My dad worked for an IT company in Gibraltar. And so that was my first visit, and that was when things were just changing at the border, when cars were allowed to go, I think, at that time. But my first experiences of it, well, my experience, I think, for the entire 37 years have been the discussions around the border and what's it going to be like, how are we going to be able to get over, what are the queues like every weekend, what are the queues like in Gibraltar. It's everybody's conversation. So I feel that I've never known it any other way than it's been different from you guys. I didn't know it when it was completely closed, but there's always been some sort of restriction there. There's always been the unknown, because what's it going to be like today? I remember when my daughter was about 2, so she was born 91, so 93, being stuck in Gibraltar when there was a 4-hour walking queue to get across in the middle of summer, people passing out in the sun, and my daughter being with a childminder in Spain.
Oh, your daughter was stuck on the other side?
She was on the other side.
And you were going to pick her up?
Yeah.
Right.
And that was a real thing
Wow.
for me. That was a real, like...
Oh, because you lived in Spain at the
yes,
time,
for the first 2
obviously
years.
housing
Yeah,
and
for the first 2 years.
nightmare.
And when that happened, I moved into Gib.
Claro.
Right.
Because it was just, I couldn't any longer be... You don't think about it because it was just not about... But suddenly, I'm in this situation where I am stuck in Gibraltar and my child is on the other side. And then you think, what if they decided to close the border today?
Yeah.
My little girl would have been on the other side of it and I would have been in Gibraltar. So that was, for me, that was it. But my life here has been what's it going to be like today? And we all feel that we're really lucky when the day we get when we can just drive through and there's no queue. Yeah. So that's my... It's been the entire time.
That's what happened to a lot of people when the frontier actually did close. The families were separated, were split, and that must have been really horrible.
So many people lost their jobs because our main workforce, well,
at the time.
My parents lost a house that they had in el puente, ¿cómo se llamaba? The one just by Campamento. They had a little house there for my family. That was lost.
Oh, really?
Gone. Yeah, it didn't work out. They couldn't. Se perdió. Nobody knows. Yeah.
So, Rena, you're new to Gibraltar. So you've known Gib for the last, how long have you been here? 2, 3 years?
2.5 years, yeah.
2.5 years. Yeah. You're getting there. Fell in love with the place, settled into work, friends, hobbies. You bought yourself a house, a car. You've invited your family over to get to know the area. And you've decided to stay. But you're very well travelled and, you know, you were a doctor abroad on several occasions. What are your experiences with Gib? How do you feel the border is at the present before we open it up completely? How's it affected you?
Well, I'll go back a little bit to how it was when I first got here, because I didn't know that I had to show my passport at the border and get a stamp. And I know it's not really a big deal to get a stamp, you know, if your passport gets full, you order a new one. But that, for me, was like, I don't want to get so many stamps in my passport. If I send it off to get renewed, that could take a couple of weeks. If I suddenly need to go home, I haven't got my passport. So you go into a bit of a panic of, I don't want to get too many stamps in my passport. So I would actually have to ration my stamps to go across, which didn't feel great, because usually I'm quite free with my travelling. Maybe I didn't need to do that, but I just didn't want to have the risk of my passport being full and having to wait for a new one. So I would actually try and make the most of Spain every time I went over. So maybe just book, you know, a B&B and stay somewhere overnight, just so that I didn't have to keep crossing over and getting the stamps. it felt quite restricting, if I'm honest, and I don't think everyone really understood, because I'd look at the Gibraltarians saying, yeah, you know, it's really important that we get out of Gib at the weekends, and I completely understood that after maybe the first year of me being here, because the first year I didn't care. I was exploring Gib. I had so much to see, but it's a small country, so there's only so much you can explore before you want to get out and explore these places in Spain as well. So it did feel a little bit restricting, but now things are changing, so I can use my residency card to get through the border with no stamps, which is great because I'm on my last 2 pages anyway. But and obviously things will change now, so it will just make things easier. But when my family visited, it was already changing at the border, so they could cross without having to worry about stamps and queues and things like that. And then the worst thing was once when I went over for the feria in my very first year, and I was dressed up, ready for the party, and I got told, no, you can't go through. You know the deal. If you're not staying there, if you haven't got a plan. And I was like, my plan's to go to the feria. Like, I'm dressed up, I haven't got a bag, nothing. I'm just going for a few hours and coming back. And luckily, the border knew someone that I worked with. The guy at the border knew someone that I worked with, so
Welcome
I was allowed
to Gib.
through. Yeah, exactly. Crazy.
And I know people who had a situation like that last year or the year before for the fair, and they were turned back, waited 2 hours, got in the car, went through and got through.
Yeah.
So there's that side of it as well. It depends on who's on duty, depends what time of day. You know, you can never know what it's going to be like. So
Yeah. It is quite a roller coaster, and it has been a roller coaster in Gib, the frontier, for many, many years. And actually, an author, I'm just going to call him an author because he doesn't want his name out there, wrote a piece. It's called, I think, an obituary. I can't say that word. I cannot say that word. To Gibraltar, and it's really, really interesting read. So I think we can flag it up a little. Wes will flag it up for you, give you an idea of what it looks like, and there is a link to it. And it's a really good piece of writing about one person's opinion and view and experience of the frontier over the years, and it goes way back historically, and it's got lots of little clips and photographs involved. So if you do come across that, have a read. I had a read at home, he sent it to me, and it is super interesting, and you forget about a lot of things about historically how long it's gone on for. Right, I'm just going to remove my glasses a bit because there's a number there. 540-55200. Call that number, rather text that number, and it's a WhatsApp number, and share your stories with us. Were you around when the frontier was closed? What was your youth like growing up in a closed frontier? What are your concerns or excitement about what's going to be happening the day after tomorrow? And talking about that, what are your concerns or your excitement about the day after tomorrow?
I think we have to look at it positively. I think it's change that we have to embrace. It's happening to us, so we have to embrace it. I think it is as is any change, I think there's concerns and trepidation, if that's the right word, because we don't really know what our world is going to look like. This is a new world for us, and we don't really know what that's going to be like until we're in it. So there's always some trepidation with change, I think. But I think overall, for me, I'm taking it as a positive thing.
Is it trepidation of change because maybe some people don't feel well informed enough and need to be reassured of that information? Or is it just human nature to not welcome
Combination
change
of both,
or the fear of the unknown?
Combination of both, I'd say.
I como la mayor aquí, la vieja aquí, I have to say.
Nada más que tiene meses más que yo,
pero soy la mayor, soy la mayor. I have the title.
She has the crown.
I'm trying to be optimistic. Of course, I'm trying to be optimistic because I want the best for Gibraltar, my fellow Gibraltarians. So I am embracing it as much as I can. But that I have some form of mental, it's psychological, you were a little child y alguien te dice, no te comas ese sweetie que te va a caer mal, no te lo coma, y no te lo come. And then one day somebody comes and says, yeah, eso era de azúcar, te lo puedes comer all along. You still see the sweetie and you're like, oof, I don't know, si me va a caer mal. That's just human nature. I found like online, whenever I've expressed my opinion of just being cautious, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, of just being cautious, I've felt very cancelled. I felt automatically, it's like, anda ya, mujer. Listen, people of my age group have, since I was born, I have lived in a close frontier. I was born in 1965, cuando yo pararon los coches. So I knew that all my life. So this is a big part of my life, apart from the fact that we've seen our parents, you know, struggle, fight. We've had somebody who's been an enemy for us. So it's difficult. So even though I am optimistic, I want it to work, I am happy, I do feel, first it's psychologically something difficult for my generation and up to get our heads around with, aunque hay gente que están encantada, pero for us it's difficult. And second, you're right. I think information, por mucho que they've tried to do the little clips and about the tax, it would have been, I would have much preferred somebody coming to me, putting their arm around me, hypothetically, and saying, mira, Susan, no te preocupes. Of course I get it. Of course I get it that you're feeling a little bit dodgy and wonky about it because that's where you've lived all your life. And I've been told all my life, nunca, 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 toma. So it's a bit difficult. And I think a lot of people are feeling that.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that we are, you know, against. What it means is that we're cautious. And I don't think there's anything wrong in being a little bit cautious.
I don't think there is either.
You know, but even that, like I'm mala la gente when you say I'm being a little bit cautious. Oye, esta, que negativa. No.
I think it's the fear of the unknown.
Yes,
Like,
it is.
change is
Of
always
course.
difficult. Nobody really likes change.
Nobody
you get
really knows.
familiarity, you've got a routine.
It's more,
Yeah.
people resist change.
Yes.
With anything,
exactly.
new technology. I hate a new phone. I really do. So with anything changing,
Yeah.
whatever it is, the system's
love new
different,
technology.
you know, and it's that fear of the unknown. So I think it's just, I think it will be fine once it
Of
happens.
course, I'm sure it will be. But if we haven't had loving neighbours. We haven't had neighbours that have done their best to make our lives good. You're just saying la frontera. So at the tip of the iceberg, people of my age have lived through many things. So we haven't had people that have exactly enamored themselves to us, which I actually thought when the frontier opened, I remember my parents saying, si los españoles son inteligentes, they're going to welcome up with open arms. And in 5 minutes, we'll be marrying them and they'll be together. So that's what actually my parents thought was going to happen.
But that did happen.
No, it didn't.
To a certain
It did,
extent,
but
it
it
did.
didn't. Because
That
they've
did
made.
happen.
Well,
But we
up to a certain
can't paint
point.
everybody with the same
No,
paintbrush.
I'm saying that.
sure.
No, I'm saying that politically we were not welcomed.
Yes.
We weren't, you know, helped.
But I think, don't you think, once the frontiers open, I think there's probably lots of, we have, 15,000 Spanish people come into Gibraltar to work every day.
Yeah.
But there's lots of Spanish people, even in the Luni area and the surrounding areas, who don't come to Gibraltar. And then maybe what we're going to do with this new world is open that to them, and they will see that Gibraltar is a good place. And so those people who don't visit Gibraltar to work and don't rely on us, because I think the Spanish workers have a very positive view of Gibraltar. We've given them an living, and they do. And they're very, I think most of them are very grateful and fond of us and everything else. But there's probably a whole lot of people living in the surrounding areas who don't really know that because they haven't come.
I agree. I mean, coming here, tourism will improve, but also if you've got a country you can quite freely go into now, you know, people are interested to explore the shops and the restaurants and see what's different here. You know, go up the rocks, see the monkeys. I think it will be good for tourism.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there are people in Spain who haven't even got a passport, or they
Claro,
maybe. And
claro, you're right.
So
you're right.
maybe those people will suddenly think, oh well, it's just there. I can walk in, I can go in, I can do it, and then we get those relationships become better.
The frontier queues and difficulties and being turned back and the not knowing and all of these things, from a tourist day tripper's perspective, was very off-putting.
Yes,
I mean,
because why
we
would you
covered
want
this
to
on
sit-
the programme not
Yeah.
so long ago, and I researched a couple that came into Gib, and all of them, I chose 3, all of them at the end, one came in via the sea, said, I wouldn't come again because I wouldn't sit here in a frontier queue.
Yes.
Or leave your car on the other side. It was a really, really big stumbling block. I'm personally really excited.
I am.
I think the fear that I had the first time, because of course this isn't the first time the frontier's been opened.
Correct.
It's the second time the frontier's been opened. I am the person who likes to have faith in the powers that be, as in the technology side of things and what the plans were and all the rest of it. I'm not sure that people know, perhaps those who fear it the most, everything that is in place. For example, that there will be a border fence from around the East Gate area where the trucks come in all the way to the beach, and the wall that they're building is far, far more advanced and secure than the one we have. And from where the customs area is now, that building that we walk through, all the way to the sea on that side. Remember, we've got an airport runway, so
We have to protect.
all of that chunk is secured. The only part that is physically open is the loop.
Yeah.
The loop and the gate that's there. I'm trying to allay your fears a little bit.
No, but okay, I've seen that, and they were allayed when I saw that.
You've
I would have
seen
liked to have seen that a little bit earlier on.
Right.
Because I
Yeah,
would have
yes.
said, okay, you know, actually I said it here. So, ¿qué va a pasar? Que se va a abrir. And sadly, nobody knew.
Yes.
And I do
I
think
think there's been-
very
information
vulnerable.
There's
is
been a lack of
vital.
information.
Information is vital to reassure your population.
And I
Eso es
understand
normal.
that the processes to shut down the border should a child go missing is the same as it has been, and it will be as tight as it was.
Yes.
They can very quickly close the border.
And the faith that you have to have in Interpol, in
And the
police,
processes
talking
and that,
to
yes.
police, and the number plates being. I mean, today I did a little bit of. I threw at AI a scenario of a child being put into the boot of a car, and within the hour of the mother looking for him, couldn't finding him, and calling the police, what would the next steps be? And with the facial recognition, the number plate, our police can follow through into Spain until the Spanish police intercept and pick it up there. But all the roads would be blocked off within a very short time frame, and the car can be followed. There'll be an Amber Alert throughout the whole of Europe, and everybody is talking to everybody, and that person's face and car is flagged. He can't cross anywhere else without an alarm going off. So there's very little that people can do to get away with murder, if you like. Who's this? Brian. As a person who experienced the closed frontier, I have for many years been mostly anti-Spanish, and as I have no need to go over to Spain and have not been over for around 3 years. But I realise that our future is having a closer relationship with Spain and the EU, and although I do not trust Spain, I feel we need to give the treaty a chance, which is what I'm saying.
course,
there
yeah.
has to be a level of faith
There
somewhere.
has to be.
Yeah.
Well, no, there has to be, because we have no choice, and that's it. And it's better to embrace the fact that we have no choice and have not been given a choice, and go along with it.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you could look at La Linea today, when you drive through La Linea, suddenly you can see there's investment in La Linea happening.
Yes.
So obviously because of this. So La Linea, which has been left to rot in a way, has suddenly got people investing money in there.
Claro.
And, you know, that can only be, La Linea improves, La Linea gets better, there are more jobs in La Linea, better employment. That raises living standards in La Linea. And the knock-on effect of that is, for me, it has to be beneficial for both sides. It has to be beneficial for them, and it has to be beneficial for us. So I think if we can both grow together and live with the benefits of that, you know, I think, again, it's easier to cross. More tourists will come to that area and spend money in Gibraltar. They'll come in, whereas maybe before, if people were in this part of Spain, they may not come into Gibraltar because of the problems at the border and everything else.
But now they're building
the
this
idea
big,
is that
they're building
we
this
all
big,
flourish.
Yeah,
Yes,
but they're
that's the
building
idea,
this big, what's it called, like a big supermarket, a big
Shopping centre.
Shopping centre. That will be detrimental, I feel, for our locals down
business.
in,
Yes, it
in
will.
Gibraltar.
Yeah,
Porque
business
si
side
tú
of
tienes ahí,
things is
Sara,
different.
Yeah.
just ahí mismo en la frontera, yo voy ahí a mirar, claro. And I'm just going to go, but I don't shop in Spain ever.
I
so
also
for me-
read yesterday that companies like Zara and those companies that people go into Spain to
Yeah.
shop for are considering moving into Gibraltar. I don't know whether that's true or not. I read it
think
in some of the research that I was doing. It
I mean,
said-
just from my experience of being here, I think
Yeah.
the shops along the main street are really unique. You don't get them anywhere else, so I think it will attract people. I don't know, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
There's a lady that's written in, there is more Guardia on the Gib side. Everything removed, but Policía Nacional still have the control cabins at their exit. I'm sure that will change.
Yes, it will change.
It is very, very early days. I mean, the pictures that we've seen that we just showed you, which have been out in the public of the plans of how, you know, you're going to drive through and the stations that are there recording your facial recognition and all that kind of thing. won't be there tomorrow. That's not going to happen on Wednesday. It's not going to suddenly spring out of it. It's a work in progress, obviously. I mean, the access will be there to and from. But that kind of look that we're seeing now, that's going to take a little while. And I'm sure on the direct Spanish side, where you've seen those cabins and stuff, that's all going to change too.
Well, I hope it won't take a long little while.
Yes.
I hope they were the same as we see. Yo estoy andando por el...
Estamos hablando de maintenance ahora.
Bueno, let's not get into my pet peeve.
3 hours later,
Pet
we're still
peeve.
talking.
But no, like I was telling my daughter, we were power walking to the beach. I was saying, esto es pop-up road, the Devil's Tower. Pop-up building, pop-up building, pop-up... Pero que hagan un pop-up frontier area y que sea rapidito and it would look good and nice quickly. Because it will make a difference.
Yeah.
It will.
Absolutely. I just want to remind you of one thing, because in 2018, because a lot is said about our fence and the security that it gave us, but many would say that it was delusional, that security. In 2018, I did a series called Sirens, and I spent a night with customs patrolling our fence. Take a look.
Ooh.
We are now kind of cruising along the perimeter of the frontier. It's incredible, actually, how very close and dark and easy it could be to cross.
Yes, it's one of these areas that requires constant attention, needs to be looked at constantly because of the amount of people that do try to cross into Gibraltar. They try to sneak in where they can, create holes in the fence where they can, and that obviously, where we come in, part of our duty is to try and make sure the integrity of the fence is kept.
I've been told that unfortunately security is breached at the fence nearly every night, but it was still shocking to see the hole cut out in the fence for myself.
What do you do now?
We take photos, we submit it to the office arrange with the government to have this fixed, and they have it repaired. They'll have it repaired tomorrow.
Bueno.
So it's incredible to think.
Bueno.
No, it's incredible to think. It's incredible to think that what has mainly concerned people about that piece of fence that they think is coming down but is not, it's being replaced, right, with a much more secure fence, was breached virtually every night and beautifully cut out.
¿Viste? Muy bonito. Pero the same way as that has happened, all the people that were non-desirables, that were cutting away to come through, can now walk straight through and have a coffee.
Their face will be, face will be recorded, and then they'll be recorded
and
on
there's
Main
the difference,
Street.
because cutting through the fence, nobody saw them coming in. Now people will see them
Now we're
coming
going
in.
to watch them coming in.
Every night. That's incredible.
Every night. Es que cuando yo hice ese programa, claro, I had the honor, en verdad, of doing something that most Janitas didn't get a chance to do. Because it was in an area, if you saw a lot of the Combra and things like that, it's because they had just started making Kingsway Tunnel. It was there, they were a little way in. So I got to see all that perimeter, which people never got to see. Y la verdad que that rusted old fence, which has been there for yonks, gave us no security, Susan.
Remember the last time we discussed it, I said that I think the fence gives people a false sense of security.
It is. It was a false sense of security.
So
what do you think to that?
How long was that happening for with the holes in the fence?
Probably forever.
All the time.
until recently?
Every other night.
Probably.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Ya no. Now they know they can walk in. Ya no van a hacer ningún hole.
Sí,
Ya van a
pero
andar.
ahora el que anda para adentro lo están mirando. And it's recorded. Y cuando va ese hombre para Main Street and he steals a carton of cigarettes por DC,
Claro.
the cameras will pick him up
Pero
and he can't get back out.
Pero también hay mucha gente con peluquita como yo, que se pone una peluquita, un
The art
bigotito y
of the disguise.
pasa y te toma el cafelito y después te viene para atrás. Pero look, I think, as you say, let's be optimistic, para no meter el bad vibe. Let's be optimistic and let's hope that it's going to be okay. Just, we should be a bit more aware.
Does anyone else sort of feel that it's still not real, though?
I think all of us.
Yeah.
I think all of us.
I feel like I can't imagine. I can't imagine.
No,
it.
I can't
picture
imagine
it.
just driving
No.
past.
All my life.
No.
All my life.
And yet I've done it when I go to Portugal. So
I know.
I did it when I went to the north of Spain with my brother and his wife at the time, and we drove straight through to France and had breakfast.
Yes.
The weirdest thing.
How long is it going to take us not to reach for our passport as we drive through?
I know.
It'll be like this. No, don't
And
need
one
it.
thing that I'm really excited about is the fact that towards the end of next year and the beginning of the other, whatever deals are made with the airlines, we will be having direct routes to other places in Europe. So the itchy feet of the Janitos, Rena, will be able to get a good scratch more often now.
But I do wonder how that will work, because, I mean, we know that Gibraltar Airport is a little bit hit and miss with the landing. So if you've got even more flights coming in
That was
now...
very diplomatic.
Isn't it going to be a bit chaotic? I mean, half of my flights don't land in Gib. They usually
It
go
will
to
be
Malaga.
more chaotic, there will be more queues and all the rest of it, but, you know, they'll iron it out. Let's stay positive.
Yeah, like
it will be
anything.
ironed out.
There won't be any more power cars.
You had a very good... There won't be any more power.
No por
you
nada,
had-
pero...
Where there's human error, there will always be
Eso
human
no era
error.
human error.
Espérate, aquí hay alguien.
de rollo.
Oh, look, this gentleman here, he says, speaking to a Policía Nacional today, they'll be moving from where they are now to the Schengen Shack.
Oh, the shack.
What is the Schengen
The
Shack?
shack.
That's
El
the first time.
nombre. Yo he escuchado el Schengen shack.
Isn't there a song about shack?
It's not
There
a
is,
shack,
isn't there?
but they're
I was
calling
going to
it
say,
a
it
shack.
sounds like a song
there
or
is
a
a
rap
song
song.
about
or
shack.
something.
More than a song, a shack.
We're all learning. Okay, keep sharing your messages and your opinions, or take us for a trip down memory lane. Do you remember the frontier being closed? What was your residing memory from there? What were your fond memories from that era? And let us know. I'm happy to read them out. Anyway, we're going to go for a quick break and we'll be back for more. Just a second now.
The Powder Room. The Powder Room.
Welcome back. Well, picking up where we left off, which was the airport. Hopefully we'll all leave off at the airport. I just wanted to mention what is on fire in our social media, the big social media group of Speak Freely. The decision to change the name of the airport came up as a big issue within the community, and everybody was having their say on whether to change the name, whether they shouldn't change the name, whether initially Gibraltar was included in the name, should it not be left out, etc., etc. It was very disappointing, though, especially, well, personally from my point of view, to see how insensitive a lot of people were when it came to the name of being used, Sir Joshua Hassan. Personally, great man, very good friend of my family, very good to my mother. And at the end of the day, for me, what's in a name? What harm does it do one way or another? So people were up in arms about this. And a lot has been said about what it should be, what it shouldn't be. But I found that more often than not, people were more opposed to the word Gibraltar coming out.
That was the issue.
And also felt very strongly about why bother changing it. Personally, why bother changing it? It should remain the same. Gibraltar International Airport sounds great to me, puts us on the map. It's a small place, unlike many airports around the world, which are named after a lot of notable figures, but it's not their country's airport. It's a region's airport.
Yeah.
So for me, it should remain the same. And quite frankly, to stir the pot and change it at this stage, I couldn't see the sense in it, because shouldn't it have been changed or consider changing it when the building was built?
I think the issue is back to what we've just been talking about, the fear of change, the discomfort change brings to people. To suddenly throw that in the mix at the last minute as the treaty is about to go through, I think that made people feel uneasy. Why are we suddenly doing that now? And I think when it was first reported, it was Joshua Hassan Airport, not Joshua Hassan Gibraltar Airport. The name Gibraltar had been removed when it was first reported. Don't know whether that was an error or not.
It did a great
wasn't.
disservice to Sir
Yeah.
Joshua because it got a lot of
Negative, which wasn't fair.
which is absolutely a disgrace, frankly, I think, because everybody can have an opinion, as we all have, about everybody in Gibraltar. But I really do feel
was very
it was
insensitive
very
for his
insensitive, and not
family
only
and-
that, not only that he was a great politician, whether you agreed with his politics or not. Same as there's many people that don't agree with the current government. But you know that it became a slagging match, and also as a Jewish person, there was a lot of we saw a lot of anti-Semitism on the post book. I musho anti-Semites and Hiberta, believe it or not, and everybody jumps on the bandwagon, you know, and it was actually quite disgusting, and we were very upset. A lot of us were upset. So,
But do you think it should be changed at all? The residing majority, from what I could see, was that they were happy with the way it was.
I think the government here were out of touch with the Gibraltar community, like the Gibraltarians. I think because the Gibraltarians have not really criticised heavily the decision of this treaty, people have been sort of going with the flow. I think they just didn't expect it. You know, they thought everybody was like in it, and people are wary. And that was like the hair that broke the camel's back. I think it just got
Yes,
everybody,
I think so.
you know, it's okay. It suddenly became a thing, you know?
And it's like the change thing again, isn't it?
Yes.
We've already got one big change happening, which I think
Yes.
people are getting
Why-
their heads
why-
around.
why make
And then
another one?
Another big
Unnecessarily.
change. So
Yeah.
I can understand why it did upset people. I personally don't see anything wrong as long as practically, if you want to book a flight to Gibraltar, it's easy to do that online.
Yeah, and it's
As
still
long as
GIB
Gibraltar's
for
still
the
there. Yeah.
airport. And the
As long
code
as the
and
word
everything.
Gibraltar
Yes,
is
still there. Yeah.
And I do understand. I mean, I didn't know,
His
who
history.
Joshua Hassan was. I had to look it up myself, but I don't see what's wrong with naming it after him.
Yeah, me neither. I think we all look for a bright future in Gib, and especially for the next generations to follow. And as always, provided a hand of friendship to all, and as always, to the north. Pero, excuse me if I don't read this properly because there's no commas and stuff. We all know their political ways in Madrid, and soon changes. I, for one, lived the closed years, as many my age, as we were the 70s onwards youth, and security-wise, estábamos better. Now the feeling is not the frontier, but just seeing the corruption in Spain, and with the near far right rising, many think if they get in, La Frontera will become a tool against us. Thanks, El Dan. Okay, Dan, I hope that came across as you wrote it. But yes, thank you for your comments. So again, not to desensitize the frontier thing, but I thought we would have a little bit of fun in changing the name. We know it's not going to be changed, but as Gibraltarians, given a choice, if we could change the name, and what was important was having the word Gibraltar in, or another notable figure in Gibraltar, what would we come up with? So this one's mine. Have a look. There we go. Jabal Tarek International Airport, Gibraltar. It includes a nod to our Britishness there with the flag, and a lovely logo in our national colours, red and white. And it has the word Gibraltar in it twice. Because it is actually named after him, isn't it? That's one idea.
That's genius.
Give us another, Wes. Give us another idea if we really, really had to change the name. What else could we come up with? Are you there?
That's mine.
Did you come up with that?
I did. And that's because why are we naming it after a man? Again. Let's have a woman's name. On
Let's
some
have a
of our
woman
things.
for a
For
change.
a
So you
change,
chose
yes.
Mariola. What else do we have? There's another woman coming up, I think. Whenever you can, the next one. Oh dear, we're taking a while, Wes.
That's mine.
Ah, right.
This is mine.
Here's Louis Triay, of course, a very well-known lawyer, QC,
Yeah.
in Gibraltar, and very well known for his sailing.
Yeah, he won quite a few cups. I've
on
learned.
Trumpeter. I think it's still around, Trumpeter, actually. But of course, you've felt that one because you love your sailing in Gibraltar, and I think there should be another one coming up now. And of course, Let's take another nod to royalty and Queen Elizabeth II International Airport, Gibraltar. That's a lovely one as well. Having a woman at the helm. It's always good to have women's names. But that's, you know, we're
I'm
just
happy
playing.
with the one we have.
Oh, yes, we do have a funny one. This one was courtesy of Karishma. She came up with this one, actually.
Yes.
Whereas it was?
This is my favourite one.
Viva Los Llanos International Airport. And underneath, I can't see from here. Can you guys read
the
what it says?
runway
It's where the runway is shorter than the taxi to the terminal.
And costs you less. Right, another one of our issues that we've been on fire on in Speak Freely and has been talked about a lot is the bail conditions and the new laws that might come into place that Mr. Nigel Feetham is looking at to tighten those laws for paedophiles, convicted paedophiles. Take a look at what might come into play.
The Minister for Justice, Nigel Feetham, has proposed amendments to legislation aimed at tightening the law around bail after conviction in certain child sex offence cases. In cases in which an adult has been convicted of specified offences and their sentencing is adjourned, bail would only be allowed if the court is satisfied there's no real prospect of a custodial sentence or if exceptional circumstances justify release. The burden would fall on the convicted individual to prove this. The government says routine personal or financial considerations, including arranging affairs, would not qualify as exceptional circumstances. If bail were to be granted in these situations, the court would have to give clear and reasoned decisions in open court. The Minister for Justice has said the intention is to bring the bill before Parliament ahead of the summer recess.
So a super important one there, and I think what virtually the whole community is going to feel very, very strongly about. Why between being convicted and sentencing can be a period of maybe 6-8 weeks. Are they allowed to roam the streets? And of course, we have to think about the fact that we're seeing this in the news virtually every other day, and it's obviously down to technology being tighter and the police being on top of this, that they aren't being able to get away with it like they used to. But they were obviously, you know, all around Gibraltar, it was an issue since God knows how long. What are your feelings? I mean, we've just had the latest one who has been allowed to be out on bail. And now, ironically, we have an open frontier. So they are a flight risk.
I mean, personally, as a mother, a grandmother, and you know, having children, I totally support Minister Feetham in his wanting to tighten those conditions. And I think not enough is we all speak about it. I've been in the beach, s'ha detto. I was in Main Street, I was spoken about this. The latest one, where he isn't, what's happening, why is he out on bail? I've heard that, and I've heard details of family. But I would like to please, if you don't mind, highlight that what happens to children when they get sexually abused. We destroy the child, and they end up with emotional effects, behavioral effects, educational effects, physical effects, and effects in adulthood. So not only do they suffer now as a child and with their peers and guilt and all sorts of terrible, disastrous things, physically también, because we don't know el daño que le hace el predator. And I just want to say to all those people that have been affected that I feel for you, and that I feel they should come on really, really hard on that, especially in such a small community. We know each other. We know the children who are now adults. Y tú lo ves y dices, hay que ver que this, you know, it destroys their life, their relationships with partners, their relationship with their family, their relationship with themselves, especially if it comes from somebody who was a peer, a teacher, a scouts master, or anybody that you respect, and that your own safety, your personal safety was compromised in such a most horrible way. So yo soy una que está all for doing whatever needs to be done.
Additionally to that, they've gone through the court case.
Yes.
They've gone through the pain of having
They're
to give
guilty.
evidence. There's no doubt. This is not now a presumption of innocence.
And now they're going to bump into them
and
down
now
Main Street.
I might see them in Main Street.
No puede ser eso.
And that's, where are we protecting the people, the victims here? We're not.
We're not.
So, you know, it's right that this should happen.
Well,
Absolutely.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
But like my experience of living and being brought up in London, we wouldn't know who's a paedophile around us and who
Exactly.
isn't. So it's quite interesting for me to observe this coming to Gibraltar, that you're very aware of who in the community has done what.
Exactly.
And then obviously you'll be aware of where they are and what's going on. And, you know, smaller community has a different impact than where I'm from.
Exactly.
But the
Which is-
impact,
which
when
is
you
a-
talk about the impact on the victims, just the sheer thought that he's out and wandering the streets
Also.
Yeah.
puts them in a position where
Absolutely.
After they've been in the
anxiety
court
levels.
the anxiety.
And see, and
And-
estavam numa corte,
Yeah.
andam su testimony,
It's-
thinking they're going to be protected. E ora la ve ahí,
Yeah.
tomándose un drink.
Yeah.
Vamos, es que pa volverte
It's,
loca.
it's a
No,
no-brainer
no.
to introduce this
It's a
legislation.
no-brainer.
Yeah.
I agree.
Oof, heavy stuff.
Okay, so we often mirror the UK, and just to bring it up to speed with what they do over there, in the UK, once convicted of a crime, bail pending sentencing is almost never granted. Those special circumstances include if you are ill, to a degree that the treatment that you are going to be receiving cannot be given in a prison cell.
Like palliative type of care.
Yeah, you would have to have it in hospital. And there was one other, and I cannot remember it because I'm too old. But judges treat convicted child predators as an automatic risk to the public and a severe flight risk. So they virtually never, unless those circumstances are dire and considered, they would never allow them back on the streets, you know, to
Carry on.
just
your
carry
life.
on life, you know, and enjoy the last 6 or before you're locked up. Let's have a look at as well the sentencing, because the UK is quite severe. Rape of a child, 6 to 19 years. For assault, 10 years. For possession of illegal digital material, only for your own consumption without spreading it, 3 to 5 years. So I think everything needs to be looked at, wouldn't you think?
Yes,
It's not
sentencing, for sure.
just
But even
allowing
then-
them out on bail.
Even then, when you think about it, 6 years is the minimum sentence for rape of a child.
I know, that sounds awful,
6
doesn't it?
years.
To 19
It's
years.
ridiculous.
It is, I know.
How can that be enough for somebody who's raped a child?
Yeah.
But yes, I think it all has to be looked at. Sentencing for sure. I feel that the sentencing in Gibraltar is lighter than that.
I don't know what to say. I feel so strongly about this, and I think most Gibraltarians feel strongly about this.
Yeah, this is
I think
one
this
I think
one that
everybody's
hurts
on
everybody.
the same page.
Sí,
for sure.
sí.
But it's not the first time this has happened either. I mean, this is
Ongoing.
beyond comprehension.
Ongoing.
How he was allowed to. I mean, what is stopping? They have to. I would think that they've taken his passport. No,
I have heard that they didn't.
you've heard that.
Because
he's
that's
in
the thing.
Spain.
Everything
Yeah,
is the
but we don't
talk
know
of
exactly.
the town.
Of the
That's why.
town.
It's
We
solo
don't know for
rumore.
a fact.
Yo no sé la cosa. I don't know facts. But
But according to the talk of the town, let's just say, entre comillas, he's gone away with his family on a holiday before he gets locked up,
something like that.
watching other kids in a pool or on the beach.
Que no lo entiendo
It
nada.
just doesn't make absolutely any sense. What do you feel about we brought it up, but very, very briefly in one of the programmes, about the chemical castration? I'm all for that one. But again, this is like the frontier. A lot of people don't know the chemical castration is the same as going on an antidepressant. It's just reducing a libido. That's all it
Yes.
is.
Yeah, it sounds okay.
And you can get it back when you stop taking the medication.
Castration word is not the
reversible.
right word to use.
It is
Yes,
reversible.
it's
reversible.
But there's a reason. There's a reason why they use that word. It's used as a deterrent. It's
But
used as a deterrent,
when we
but
dis-
it's not actually the
when-
case. There is no castration.
But when we discussed it before, there is no evidence that it stops child abuse. The only evidence they really have is for people who have voluntarily taken it because they know they have these urges and don't want to and have volunteered for the treatment.
Yeah.
They have no evidence to show that men who do not want to take it are affected by it, because the same as in any other sort of rape, child abuse is often about power more than, as well as the other angle of it.
Yeah.
So there is actually no evidence, and unfortunately for me, chemical castration could lull people into a false sense of security that these people are
As
now
well.
not going to
También.
recommit and reoffend.
And you're dependent on them taking the
Exactly,
medication
and
as well.
exactly, and
Yeah,
as Rena's
fine.
just said, it's reversible.
What's the medical angle?
I don't know enough about this, actually. It's not something I've personally been involved with or don't know anything about. But yeah, it's reversible, so you're not having a permanent effect on anyone. I don't know, child abuse, it feels like it's a mental health problem, so I'm not sure how effective that would be at all. I don't think there's enough evidence behind it.
Yeah.
Let me just read out a few messages coming in. I agree 100% with Minister Feetham.
Yep.
If someone has already been found guilty, why should they be granted bail while awaiting sentencing? How does that protect victims or reassure the public when convicted offenders are free to roam our streets? How is it that stopping them from reoffending? The justice system would ensure that victims feel protected and that public safety remains a priority. Because it doesn't stop them, because, I mean, unless he's had a phone... Okay, there's so many ways to contact his victims.
And I don't think we don't have a tagging system here either. In the UK, if somebody's they tag them.
Yeah.
We don't
Actually,
have that either.
That should be implemented here, for sure.
At least, at the very least, that should be
At the very
implemented.
least, that would give us something.
Some control of where they are.
That's a big thing in the UK.
That's a big
so I'm
thing.
actually surprised
Just
that
across the frontier, adios.
you can be
Goodbye.
tagged. Yeah.
We've had a couple of other ideas on the airport names. Not that any of them are going to be chosen, by the way. It was just a little bit of putting it out there. I commented to one of GBC's posts and suggested Peter Caruana Gibraltar Airport, seeing as it was his baby and got a lot of stick from the current administration at the time. Also, Winston Churchill or Queen Elizabeth II would be good too. And Brian has sent me a picture, and it's called, it's a very nice one as well, 1704 British Gibraltar Airport, 1704 British Gibraltar International Airport. I think it looks like a picture of, where am I? Over there. Doesn't it look like a picture of the old airport?
Yes, it does a bit. Yes, it does a bit, yeah.
It does.
The old airport terminal.
She didn't have
Do
the
you
joy.
remember the old
Like a hot
airport
babe arriba a tomar drink. Todo el mundo corría.
And
arriba
the tiny
a tomar
little
drink,
steps,
la escalerita con los niños. Y tomaba los salted peanuts y los patinetes de patata que te lo abría el tu padre y así en abierto. Todo el mundo en el airport ahí comiéndote tu coke.
Yes.
It was an outing. Y todo el mundo se iba afuera, después machucado contra ella, todo el mundo waving.
yeah.
Remember
In that
outside?
little
Cogía el
space,
viento y
yeah.
terminaba la
It was tiny.
tunara. Todo cogía el viento, todo el mundo.
That's
crazy.
El exhaust del
Oye,
avión cuando daba la vuelta.
Rita's looking at us like we're mad. It was tiny. It was tiny. I'm not kidding.
You obviously wouldn't remember this,
it was
but
tiny.
it was the kind of airport that you might see in one of these countries in the middle of nowhere, which was very, very tiny, had a little departure lounge, a
used to
little
love it.
kind of
Yes, we used to
and
love
a little
it.
sky
It's
shop.
so
And then
fun.
upstairs it had a tiny little cafeteria where they sold virtually nothing because there was
yeah.
never anything in there.
It was so nice. I remember in those days we had, it was an occasion when you went away. You had a closed frontier.
Oh, you used to
It was
dress up.
like dress
Yes,
up.
it was
Abuelo,
dress
puesto
up
viene tu
to go on
hermana.
a
Was
flight.
everybody
Yes,
would come, or your grandmother, everybody. It was wonderful.
I worked there.
Social event.
I worked there. I worked
Oh,
there.
yes, plans. Yeah, with that. Yeah, social events. Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
Well, that's about it, girls. I think we have
the
to
next
look
one,
forward.
Get post,
yeah, we can have
frontier next one.
The next one, we want to talk about what everybody's experience was, and if we can record some clips of us crossing, that would be interesting too. But look, we have to keep the faith. We have to look forward and not backwards. And whilst Gibraltar is going to thrive, that can only be a good thing. But we will know. It'll be
Very
tried
soon.
and tested, sure
Very
enough.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you so much to those who wrote in with your opinions and ideas for the airport. I'm sorry, but it's not going to be any of those, but it was just a little bit of fun. And of course, all of you for watching this evening. We will be back same time, same place with a studio audience next week. So enjoy your trip across our open border, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us. Good night.